Hey everybody, in this tutorial we're going to talk about end effectors, adding end effectors for custom and FreeBone rigs. So end effectors are essentially kind of limitations or locks that you can put on various limbs of your character to utilize human IK motion, the more realistic motion of your character's limbs. I'll talk about that in just a moment. It's kind of better to show you an example rather than to tell you here. So let's get right to the start here. On the screen right now we have a variety of different characters. If we go to our actor tab, to characters, G3360. We have G3360 human Martha here, and under animals here, right, go to the side here a little bit. Just move this over here a little bit. We have animals, spine, and wings. Okay, so under animals, we have Tumba down here. Okay, that's your typical quadruped character. Under spine, we have Mr. or Mrs. Sunflower. I'm not sure. And then under wings, we have the pumpkin bat. Okay, so you can follow along by yourself here and bring these characters into your scene. Okay, so let's go back to our first character and let's take a look at what end effectors are. I'm going to explain with this character here, your typical human biped character. And we're going to go over here to the 2D motion key editor. All right, so once we're in there, let's switch over here to image view. Okay, and in image view, you can see that our character, not all of these bone points here are the same color. And that's because the pink ones on the end, these are end effectors. Okay, so you're probably wondering, what are end effectors? Well, let's take a look. Notice that first of all, these two locks on the hands, these are not locked, okay? But the ones on the feet are currently locked. If I take my character's hip bone right here, the one I have selected in blue, if I take this and I move it around, notice that my character, the feet will stay in position regardless of where I move my character. However, if I take off stretch bone, for example, and I move my hip up, then those feet will take off the ground, okay? But they will remain stationary at their base point right there. Okay, just like this. So that's what stretch bone does, in case you're wondering. I like to keep it on normally. Let's just go ahead and reset this for now. And we also have end effectors on the hand bones as well. So for example, if I locked my right hand just by clicking it, and I move around just like this, we're going to get a result like this, okay? Or we can stretch the hand and stretch the legs out and have a kind of a cool DJ type motion like that. Or we can lock the right hand and have the same kind of effect like this. Okay, ooh, she's kind of doing like a wave dance. Let's go ahead and reset this for now. But that's end effectors in a nutshell there. There's also one thing I wanted to mention here as well, this option here for end effector rotation. Because every limb will have two end effectors on it, what you want to do is if you want to, for example, rotate this bone right here. So say I click on this left foot bone, you notice it highlights in purple there, and I move it around. Notice I can rotate the ankle like this. So I can have my character kind of like, do like a weird kind of step like this, or just rotate the bone between the two end effectors. If I don't have that enabled, let's go ahead and select this one. If I don't have that enabled, what's going to happen when I try and move this bone? It'll just move the whole foot, okay? So just keep that in mind. If you have end effector rotation enabled, then you can, rotate it like this and stretch it out and, do all kinds of wacky stuff. That's how you can animate the bones between the two end effectors. Okay, the bone branches here, I guess you can call them. All right, so let's go ahead and just reset that. And let's take a look at the other characters as well here. I'm just going to zoom out and head over to Tumba here. You can see Tumba has end effectors on all the limbs right here. So you can, do the same thing. All the four base limbs there, move like this. But if, for example, you wanted your character to sit down, it looks a little bit weird, for the character to try and sit down like this. Say we, rotated back here and moved down here. These two bones here probably wanted to be rotated. So in that case, what we do is we'd, add the end effector rotation. Just move it down like this and put it into position like this. And probably these bones could probably be, rotated this way. We'd want to probably want to before we lowered our character, have those rotated before we did that. So just take this and kind of move it down this way and just move it down that way. There you go. And then we can lower our hip and sit on our haunches like this. Okay, and so on and so forth. Just get into the right position, and there you go. Okay. That's basically end effectors, end effector rotation for the quadruped characters. We're going to just reset good old Tumba there and head over to our flower character, Mr. or Mrs. Flower. The spine characters, they have one end effector on the top there. generally, if I select that, I move around, I can, because this is our first bone, this is our base bone of our character, so we can just move around like this, stretch it out. That one will kind of just be stationary. However, we can also do the opposite. We can add the end effector on here, and we can take that base bone, and now the top bone there will act as the end effector, and then we can stretch the bottom part out like this. If we don't have that locked, then what's going to happen is if we select this base bone here, it's just going to move the entire thing. Okay. All right, let's go down to our final example here, which is Pumpkin Batty Dude. He's very batty indeed. Let's just go ahead and take a look at his end effectors. There's two on the wings. Okay, one on this point, one on that point. And you can kind of just, if I just move him around, base, this is what will happen. And if I lock those end effectors, and this is what will happen. Oops, let's just make sure we have the hip selected. There we go. We can stretch out like this. We can stretch out like that. You can do a side to side kind of tantalizing dance like this. Okay, so end effectors, as you can see, can be very useful for, semi-natural movement like that. Okay, let's just go ahead and reset this. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring in a FreeBone actor, because FreeBone actors, the ones that you create custom, they don't come with the end effectors by default. Now, keep in mind that you cannot edit the end effectors of any of these template characters. So all of the characters, all the G360 characters, human, animal, spine, and wings, you cannot edit their end effectors, right? Because they're templates. So what I'm going to do is just start a new project here, and I'm going to create a new character, just really quickly here, G3 FreeBone actor, and I have this blueprint of a chicken, a very simple chicken, all right? And it'll pop up into composer mode here, and in composer mode, the bone editor will automatically pop up as well, because we need to add some bones. Okay, so let's just add a simple bone structure to our character here. I'm just going to select add bone here in the bone editor, and I'm going to start kind of in the center of my character, about here. I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then maybe 6 bone points, and just like right click to stop adding the bones. And then we'll add bones for the tail as well. So add bone again, and make sure you start from the same base bone right here. Okay, make sure you click on the little nub there. 1, we'll go 2, maybe 3, I think 4 will do this. Do it for the tail there. Okay, and then right click. And then same thing for the legs. We're going to have separate bone hierarchies for the legs and for the wing as well. Okay, so let's do a couple more for the legs. So again, start at the same bone point. We'll go 1, and chicken legs will kind of go up like this. 2, 3, and then maybe 4. And then here's going to be our end effectors, 5 and 6. So these two right here are going to be our end effectors. All right, we'll do the same thing for the other leg as well. Start from the center point again, 1. And then kind of slightly upwards, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. All right, it doesn't have to be super accurate, but again, you can edit the bone position and whatever you like later as well. Let's do one more for the wing and add bone. And this time I'll just do like 4. We'll just do 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now if you want to preview, you can preview all of these. Just go to preview, and what it's going to look like right now is going to look a little bit weird, because everything is kind of the same image, right? If I take my little tail there, I can wag the tail around like that. I can take my feet and move them around, but the mesh is going to stretch because it's all one image. Okay, so stop the preview mode there. And what we need to do is we need to replace those with different sprites. So the way to do that, let's close the bone editor for now. We don't need this anymore. Let's go into the layer manager, where you can see all the different bones here and their various layers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the wing bone. Okay, so I'm going to select this bone right here, which is bone 20. This is the bone that's going to control our wing. All right, so let's go ahead and select bone 20, and we can just press plus here to add an image. We want to keep the parent transform position, okay, and select import. And I'm going to find that wing. Boom, there it goes. And you can't even notice a difference. It adds right into the same position because the image sizes are all the same. If I wanted to, select it, I can, go to the sprite editor and move it around. There you go. There's my additional wing. I'm going to Control Z that and close that down. Okay, so let's do the same thing for the legs. So for legs, I'm going to select bone 10, this one here, and we'll just add an image for bone 10. Import at left thigh. All right, it should add right into position. There you go. And the layers, we'll just change the layer in just a moment here. Let's do bone 15 first. Add an image for that. Import, and there's our right thigh. Okay, and that'll add on top as well. So what we need to do now is just twirl all this stuff down. We don't need the child bones available. And then finally for the root, this one here, I'm going to get rid of the actual image in the background. This is just for reference, the blueprint. So what I'm going to do is just select this. We're going to go to the sprite editor in this case, and we're going to replace this original image here by going up here to replace current sprite. And then I'm just going to select the body without the wings and the legs. Okay, again, nothing changes, just looks the same. But now I'm going to just put the layers back in order here. Let's take our this layer, put it down here. This one goes in front of the root. This one goes behind the root, and the wing goes over top. All right, perfect. So now if I preview, what's going to happen is we have this option. We can, have our chicken stretch out its legs like this. We don't have the rest of the image stretching out. We can take our wing here and kind of just flap it. Okay, it's flapping, flying away. We can take the booty and just shake that a little bit as well. Okay, so that's the basics there of creating your FreeBone character. Really simple stuff. Let's go ahead and take it into stage mode first of all, so we can take a look at what it looks like in the motion key editor. So once we have it selected, go to the motion key editor over here. And because this is a FreeBone actor, you can see none of the bones have end effectors on them. None of them have locks on it. If they do have locks, you'll see a lock right here, and I'll show you in just a moment. Also, our image view, we'd have no custom rig GUI, okay, to modify these bones to select them. And what we're going to do is we're going to generate that in just a bit here. So let's close this down, go back into composer mode once again here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add those end effectors. And to do that, we can simply go up here to edit end effector. And we need to, you can notice that the cursor changes to like this weird kind of like, looks like an atom or something, looks like a chemistry project. What we need to do is we need to add end effectors onto the bones we want. So you can see it'll highlight. We need to make sure we select the bone nodes here, like this one right here, and it'll change to purple. And this one will change to purple. We can click it again to remove it. Okay, just left click and click it again to add it. So we're going to add end effectors to all these two ankle bones here, just like we saw previously. Okay, so now if we deselect end effector, notice that those the bones look different slightly. And if we preview now, what we can do is, let's zoom out a little bit here. Take those bones, they'll still stretch like this. It says Control Z, do that, undo that, or we don't need to Control Z at this point, but we can move it around like this. That's because we don't have any of the end effectors enabled. Okay, so let's go ahead back into stage mode here and take a look at what it looks like now in the 2D motion key editor. So now you can see in the hierarchy we have bone 12 and bone 13. They both have end effector status, and we can lock those if we want. Again, the image view, we haven't created that yet, but we can lock these if we want. So let's go ahead and lock those two, just like this, okay? And if I select the bone, now that foot is going to stay in place, okay? Just like this. All right, and we can rotate it like this, okay? Again, and we can lock the other bones as well, 17 and 18 right here. Let's go ahead and try that. Now they're going to stay in the same spot like that. All right, cool. And the chicken can do all kinds of funky chicken dances. Ooh. All right, so that's basically adding end effectors. Pretty simple stuff. Let's just go ahead and reset our position there. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a custom GUI so we can edit this. All right, and I'm going to do that really quickly here. So with the character selected in composer mode, of course, we can select the character and go over here to Custom GUI. Okay, create Custom GUI. And once we do that, we can just go ahead and we can load an image if we want. Or I'd recommend using capture if we have all the bone structure already enabled. I can just go ahead to capture here, and you can see it creates a capture right here. Now we can change the background color if we want to make it a bit easier to see the chicken. Change to like a blue, like a complementary color. And you can show or hide the bone hierarchy, okay, just like this. You can adjust the bone size if you want. Generally for a character like this, I'd like it to be a little bit smaller. You can also select each point and you can move it. Now notice if I move it here in the GUI, it's not going to affect the actual bone on the character, okay? So I can move these points to wherever I want, and it's not going to affect the actual character's bone rig, okay? It's just for ease of use on the GUI, okay? So generally, probably want to try and keep these a little bit further away from each other. This wing can probably be up a little bit further, just so you have a lot of space between the different bones, and it makes it kind of easier to see. You can also move the lock icons as well, just like this, okay? And there we go, something like that should be okay. And, bone size, bone hierarchy, everything's pretty simple. You can also reset it back to normal. I'm not going to do that for now. I'm going to keep this rig that I carefully constructed, okay? Let's go ahead and close that down. Now if I go into stage mode one more time, we have, if I go over here to 2D Motion Key Editor, now we have our image view, ta-da, like this, and we can select our hip bone. We can select any bone we want, just like this, okay? We can move those around, okay? You can select our hip bone and move that around, and there you go, okay? So we'll reset that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add one more end effector on our character's head, just to show you can add end effectors anywhere you want. Now there's a couple of rules that you need to know for adding end effectors. The first one is you cannot add an end effector to a bone root. So let's go ahead and try and add an end effector to a bone root by selecting edit end effector right there. It's a kind of a mouthful there. You can see that the cursor will become a disabled cursor here. We can't add it to here, here, or here. Okay. Any of these we cannot add because those are bone roots. You cannot add to a bone branch right here. So these are bone branches. You cannot add to those as well. And you cannot add to hierarchies with less than 2 bones. Okay, that's another thing to keep in mind. It'll automatically show you where you cannot add bone hierarchies or end effectors rather. Okay, we can add it there, but we don't really want to do that in this case. Let's try and add it to the top here. Okay, so you can see this bone branch here from the center, from the root, has more than 2 bone branches. So let's go ahead and just add an end effector to the top one here. All right, and deselect edit end effector. And then if we preview back into stage mode here, and then in stage mode, if we go to our 2D Motion Key Editor, notice that we now have the bone on the top there as an end effector. And if we take our root, now we can go move it around. We need to select that bone, and we need to add the lock on there as well. So in hierarchy view, you can lock it this way, or you can make sure that, and we go into image view again and move it like this. So then our chicken can do like a kind of a sexy chicken dance. Ooh, just like this, back and forth. The other way you can obviously is go back into composer mode here and make sure your custom GUI is updated there. So we can just press capture one more time. Okay, so then the capture will show the bone, the lock right there. So we can lock it this way. So keep in mind that you need to recapture every time you add an end effector. And there we go. We'll just go ahead and work with that. Close that down. Back into stage mode. And now if we go into this mode here, now we have that lock. We can disable it and move like this. We can, move our bones. Let's move our feet actually further down like this. Let's just take those off for now. I'm going to move the feet kind of in separate positions. Oops. Oh, we need to deselect end effector rotation there. Okay, we'll stretch this bone out like that. And we'll take this one here and stretch it out like this. And then we can have our chicken do like a sexy chicken dance. Let's put all those end effectors on one more time. And then we can do something like this. Whee! Back and forth and running around like this and grabbing that wing and stretching that wing out. Now he looks like he's in full flight. All right, so that's really all I want to show you guys about adding and editing end effectors for FreeBone actors. So it's a lot of fun. You can have a lot of fun with this on different characters. Again, make sure you check out our forums over at forum.reallusion.com if you have any further questions or follow-up. We also have our Learning Center on our product page and our YouTube channel. And I hope to see you in the next video.